Before God jumps on your dick, he punches you in the dick. Right now, we're getting punched in the dick. But I'm probably the only one here talking who has a dick. So, you get the old Donald Trump punch in the pussy. Like, that's what happens in the beginning, right? In the lead up to the eclipse, you get punched in the pussy. You get punched. Shh, they're listening. You get punched in the pussy, right? And that means the moon is getting all charged up. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, baby. I feel that heat coming. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, baby. And the sun just is like, fuck. Oh, God damn it, God. Do I have to get fucked? Right? The sun's pleading with God, pleading with Mother Earth and the ancient universe. I don't want to get fucked from that moon. Fuck, this shit's scary, right? That shit's like, the sun is freaked out by the moon because it changes. It's like sometimes it's like a little sliver and sometimes it's really fucking full, right? And the sun's freaked out because the moon determines women's periods. And they're like, the sun's like, that's some weird voodoo shit. Like the moon's a fucking witch, right? The sun's a little more like straight and narrow. The sun's a little more within the lines, but the moon's some like weird, witchy, voodoo sort of werewolf shit, right? And so the blood moon comes, right? So every woman's pussy aligns, right? So we're getting punched in the pussy, and then all the shedding and the bleeds happen simultaneously, and then the sun's like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm about to be fucked by this moon who just made every vagina on earth align together. I don't want this. God, do I really have to get fucked by this moon? I think the eclipse is March 20th or 21st? I'm making this up. And I think that's a spring equinox. You guys, I don't know anything about astrology, okay? But March 20 and 21st is the spring equinox, right? Means something's going to blossom. Something's going to fucking bloom that's never bloomed before. The sun is pleading with God. I don't want to get fucked by this moon. I don't trust it. Do you know what the amount of blood, right? It's a fucking bloodbath. The sun's like, it's a fucking bloodbath out there. You know how many people are bleeding together? Like this is like war. This is like a sacral warfare. Like, I don't trust this, but God's like, you have to. You gotta get fucked by the moon. You have to get. Then all the fucking angels are like, yeah, you gotta do it. They have a vote up there in heaven somewhere. And they're like, yeah, sorry. This is an eclipse, and this is a really, really big one. Sun, you are doing everyone here on earth a solid. You are doing everyone here on earth an absolute solid by getting fucked by this moon, right? And so I swear, during that eclipse, that moon is it's a fucking war zone, right? It's blood everywhere. The blood moon in the lead up to the eclipse. And then the sun gets fucked. And it's the peak of all of our shadow coming to the surface. For me as a dude, Uranus gets really strong in my prostate, right? It begins to pulse. Uranus gets really, really strong. When that eclipse, and I think this is what happens for dudes, right? Dudes get a real prostate pulse in their ass when the eclipse fully comes to the sun. When the eclipse and the sun come together, dudes don't feel astrology, but they get a real fucking push in the ass. It's like getting pegged by God, It's like getting ass fucked by God. You get pegged by God when the moon fully merges with that sun for that moment, right? So every dude's up there, has the glasses, and all of a sudden they're looking around like, oh, do you feel that? And it's kind of like, imagine that experience where a dude was getting energetically pegged and a bunch of dudes were all in the room at the same time. So here's the other part of the bit, right? That's how you can tell a guy's tapped in when he gets energetically pegged during an eclipse, right? So a bunch of guys out there watching the eclipse, bunch of dudes drinking their kombucha, they got the fucking drum, whatever fucking bullshit they do, fucking men's group. And there's one dude named Mike. He's the only guy who doesn't get energetically pegged during the eclipse. And imagine how weird that scene would be when a bunch of dudes are looking at the eclipse, but they also feel like they're getting energetically pegged in their prostate, but they don't know it's happening to other people. Imagine that scene on these guys' faces trying to figure out what's happening. Do I enjoy this? Am I the only one am I going crazy? Am I going crazy? I can't show anyone that I like this. So it's this real kind of like, but the whole thing for dudes in this moment is they have to embrace pleasure, right? In this moment, they have to embrace pleasure. So eventually, at some point during the eclipse, when the moon fucks the sun, right at midnight, when Cinderella, loses her other shoe, right? Then dudes embrace pleasure. I don't care if people see me in my joy. I don't care if people see me in my pleasure. I don't give a shit, right? And there's a bunch of dudes that are holding shame and guilt because they're getting fucked in the ass by God energetically. And they're like, I can't show that I'm enjoying this, right? That one guy, Mike, is the only guy who's not getting pegged. And that's why Bridget and Mike are perfect. Bridget's the one girl who didn't get her period. And Mike's the one guy who didn't get ass fucked by God. They're perfect for each other, right? They're perfect for each other because they're just not tapped in. They're not tapped in, right? And so the dudes embrace pleasure, right? And then the sun or the moon moves past and it's trying to open up a new timeline of joy and pleasure, right? For women, right, it's about getting your period and all the feminine periods syncing up together. And for the dudes, it's all about getting ass fucked simultaneously and moving into a new timeline of pleasure. And so it reveals, you guys, I don't know anything about astrology, but this is my astrology reading, okay? Really important. Blood moon, lunar eclipse, whatever the fuck that means, right? And so the moon is right there against the sun, right? Shadow is peak. So everything that no longer aligns with your path forward is revealed. Everything that no longer aligns with your path forward is revealed. And it's at its peak during the eclipse. You're trying to move from suffering to pleasure. Will you allow yourself to step into your power? There's been a timeline that's been trying to come through you in your life. Your ego has been holding on. Fear has been holding on. Will you allow the world to see you in your pleasure? Will you allow the world to see you in your joy? Will you allow the world to see you in your power? If you're a feminine being, will you allow the world to see you have the softness and the brightness on your face where it looks like your pussy and your heart are wide open, right? That's what happens, right? When a woman has the cross with her period blood on her forehead, she is saying to the universe, my pussy and heart are connected, right? And when a guy outreaches his arms during the eclipse and just enjoys the pleasure in his ass, he's saying, it's safe for me to be my joy. I'm not going to hold shame if other men know that I like this, right? That's where the erogenous zone is for a man. It's in his ass, right? This is how we shift timelines, right? This is the reason why all of this is happening astrologically,